Now, my retro babes, have you guys ever wondered about where science fiction all began? Well, I have, so that leads us into this video. Let's get into it. Of course, we have to start with what exactly is science fiction? Science fiction is a genre of fiction that creatively depicts real or imaginary science and technology as a part of its plot, setting, or theme. And if you ask the question, when exactly did science fiction actually begin? Sometimes you'll get different answers. One set of people believe that science fiction began in 2100 BC with the Epic of Gilgamesh, which tells the tale of a hero and his adventures. And another group of people believe that true science fiction was created in the 17th and early 19th century, following the scientific revolution, which led to new discoveries in physics, astronomy, and mathematics. Now, following the 17th century development of the novel as a literary form, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and The Last Man helped define the form of science fiction novel. And some would argue that this was the first work of science fiction. But who can say really?
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Trip to the Moon, directed by Georges Méliès, in 1902 became the first science fiction film with a runtime of 16 minutes. Considered one of the first narrative films, it was a technical marvel of its time, with its use of several innovative editing techniques. Professor Banbofoy and 5 of his colleagues from the Academy of Astronomy traveled to the moon aboard a rocket propelled by a giant cannon. Once on the lunar surface, the bold explorers faced the many perils hidden in the cave of the mysterious planet. The film also comments on colonialism as the astronauts attack the moon men and brings one of them back to Earth and parades him around, which clearly reflects France's occupation of large swaths of Africa and Asia. You know that Mary Shelley actually held on to her husband's heart after passing away? Yup, you heard that right, guys. After his cremation, for some reason his heart would not burn. So Mary Shelley, I guess, took it as a sign and decided to carry his heart around in a silk satchel. And after she had passed away, they actually discovered his heart wrapped in a poem in one of her desk drawers. Eek. Metropolis is regarded as a pioneer in science fiction film, being among the first feature-length ones of that genre. Metropolis was the most expensive film ever made at the time, and groundbreaking special effects were used, such as the shifting process in which actors were projected onto miniature model sets by using mirrors in order to create the impressive city scenes, which later influenced many films visually with futuristic skyscrapers and robotic systems. But behind the scenes lie greater issues with this film. Issues with cruelty to staff and actors, and the 17 months of grueling filming and overall budget of the film became huge red flags that would have gotten Fritz Lang cancelled if he had been a director in today's age. Bridget Helm, who played the role of Maria, was quoted saying, "For instance, it wasn't fun at all when Grout drags me by my hair to have me burned at the stake. Once, I even fainted. During the transformation scene, Maria as an android is clamped in a kind of wooden armament, and because the shoot took so long, I didn't get enough air." Sci-fi is just an abbreviation of science fiction, and in the 1950s and 1960s, those who read science fiction called it SF, and those who disliked and looked down upon science fiction called it sci-fi. But in the 70s, new readers started to use sci-fi. The more you know. Even Thea von Harbou, the writer of the story, was quoted saying, "No film has ever had more enthusiastic and willing collaborators than these little children," she recalled, "always willing to dash into the chilly waters like perfect actors, even going as far as calling the set a paradise for the hundreds of poor children." Do with that what you will, people. The horrors of the behind-the-scenes filming of the movie Metropolis honestly deserve its own video because the list just goes on and on. Hey guys, if you're still watching at this point in the video, I would really appreciate if you can go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Science fiction began to gain status as serious fiction in 1937 with the emergence of a demanding author, John W. Campbell, and his group of writers at Astounding Science Fiction. Exercised an extraordinary influence over the work of his stable writers, thus shaping the direction of science fiction. As Moff wrote, "We were extensions of himself. We were his literary clones." Under Campbell's direction, the years from 1938 to 1950 would become known as the golden age of science fiction. "Write me a creature that thinks as well as a man, or better than a man, but not like a man," Campbell would consistently tell his writers. He emphasized higher quality writing and also gave special attention to developing the group of young writers. This growth then spilled over into various forms of media, with Campbell's writers' original stories and articles as subject matter and inspiration. We saw science fiction film blossom, with films like The Thing from Another World, Forbidden Planet, Them, and The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just to name a few. This growth could not be contained and also spilled over into the comics, with the anthology series Weird Science and Weird Fantasy published by EC Comics leading the way. And across the waters, science fiction made its debut into television in the 1953 classic The Quatermass Experiment, and then in America with shows like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, and Captain Video. Even Japan was hit by science fiction fever. Astro Boy aired and became a huge hit. This animated series would then serve as a pivotal role in anime as we know it today. 1954 also brought Godzilla, which directed and co-written by Ishiro Honda and special effects by Eiji Tsuburaya, depicts Japanese authorities taking on a gigantic monster that suddenly emerges from the sea and causes widespread panic in post-war Japan. The large companies also wanted a piece of the pie and began to print regular columns. Even Playboy and Esquire got in on the action, and writers were able to write full-time, as 1,000 words a day garnered 2 times the median income. But what goes up must come down, and the new influx of publishers increased availability, yet lowered prices, which almost caused an industry collapse, which resulted in top authors leaving the industry altogether. Some authors continued working with non-genre publishers that paid a higher rate, but most would say that the golden age of science fiction was over, and now we were entering the new wave. Was it simply now a new age?